Well, I'm glad to see that this episode actually had it become self-aware, that Maple's entire vitality build and maxing out her defense is just something that is so broken that it just amazes me how the game developers even managed to overlook such a major issue. And I'm very happy that many of you guys in the comments really discussed this too, and just like, what kind of game really allows you to have 50, or not 50, 100 different points to put into any individual stat you want as soon as you start a character, and we get random stats of like 10 plus stats or 15 stats, etc. with each level up. It's ridiculous. And just when you look at Maple throughout this episode, it's very clear that her entire build is so unbelievably broken that it's definitely going to usher in a meta within this game. Now, I don't know if this series is going to dive into how games get into meta builds, etc., but it definitely seems like it potentially could go down that path just because of certain elements that this episode discussed, especially with the new character, or one of our female characters that finally had the spotlight within this episode, Sally, and her swashbuckler build. Now, when you look at her build, she has a very kind of like spread out build. She has a different stats here and there, and her agility is obviously higher than her other stats, but her build is a little bit more balanced than, let's say, someone like Maple, because Maple has no stats and anything else, just defense. So she's literally a walking fortress, which was said in the chat room within the episode. And when you see our character that is Sally using her build, it's balanced, but at the same time, you can clearly see that putting her points all into agility has definitely made it to where she's incredibly powerful as well. And it really goes to show that there is some fatal flaws with this game, that if you pump enough points into a certain stat, it's going to make you unbelievably overpowered depending on a situation. Now, obviously, there might be some stats are going to be absolutely garbage, let's say like a dex stat. I'm definitely attacking certain dex users that uses, dex in RPGs. But the point, though, is that Maple showcased that she was able to easily take out over 2,000 players by herself, being a total noob at MMORPGs. That's insane. That just really goes to show how ridiculous Maple's build is, but also how broken the game is. Because no matter how good you are, how, let's say, new you are, taking out 2,000 people right at the start of the game, and you're only like level 20 and you're fresh at the game, you've only been playing maybe for a few days or a week at most, for you to be able to take out that many people by yourself with just pumping your stats in defense, that should not be possible. She was literally able to just sit there, let people come to her, just tap them lightly with her shield, and they died instantly. And if that wasn't enough, when they tried to run, she would just literally use paralysis and then cast poison on them, and they died instantly. And it just, like, holy crap. Her armor and stats that she has built up thanks to what she's been eating to be able to make her character as strong as it is just outright insane. And any game developer, I know if there's any game developer that watches this show is probably going to be a little bit frustrated, because how could you miss such a glaring oversight to just something that seems very obvious? Because you know for a fact there's going to be those individuals that are going to do troll builds. That's a thing. It happens. And I know for a fact I would definitely be one of those individuals to pump all my stats into, let's say, defense or agility, etc., just to be funny. And to find out that it's something like that can work, I just like, holy crap, this is how metas are formed within games. But, yeah, so we got to see Maple wipe out 2,000 people solo, and she managed to reach top 3 out of the entirety of the player base within the game. So she definitely has made a name for herself. And I feel like this episode probably is going to set up an upcoming plot line with maybe copycat builds. Because if there's one thing that I think many know if you're a gamer, when it comes to something that's like showcased online in, say, like a professional game, or you have something like it's just a public live stream and there's this certain live streamer that has a popular build or weapon they use, people typically like to copy that individual individual or copy a certain meta, and I could definitely see many that were probably watching Maple throughout the episode were probably like, holy crap, I want to copy this build, do the exact same thing, roll a new character, and, I want to be as strong as her. I could definitely see many starting to go down that path and following what she did, and I highly doubt that the game devs that were probably watching it, I'm willing to bet they were, probably didn't see the glaring flaw that she was capable of. And I do wonder if there will be any nerfs, bans, etc., and maybe even nerfing Maple because of how strong she really is. But, okay, stopping right there for a second, let's talk about the main premise of the episode, which is kind of introducing Sally as a character and what role she's really going to have within the story. So Sally kind of got a major spotlight, actually, and she got more spotlight than even Maple within this episode, which I kind of appreciate, because normally when it comes to anime, or most shows, honestly, it usually just focuses on the protagonist, and you have it to where the side characters kind of are thrown to the side, they barely get any spotlight, or if they are in the story or in an episode, you have it to where the MC has to come out of nowhere and save the side character. But even though we know that Maple is incredibly overpowered, she would definitely been able to handle almost any situation within this episode, you have it to where our new character, Sally, was able to defeat the boss by herself through sheer will, being a good gamer, but also using strategy. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that Maple didn't have to step in and do something within this episode and take the spotlight away from Sally. So if this is what I could expect going forward from this series, that the characters are going to get proper spotlight, some focus here on bosses, etc. they defeat, then this is definitely going to be living up to its potential, and I'm definitely going to keep watching it. Now, another thing, too, is let's talk about Sally's build. So, Sally wants to basically be a swashbuckler, which makes it to where she's going to be agility-based. She wants to dodge every attack, and she doesn't really need to up her health or anything like that, because if she's able to dodge everything, she doesn't need high health. It's kind of like those individuals that play Dark Souls. Then when you play Dark Souls, if you go full-on, let's say, DPS, not wearing any armor, using a torch, etc., there's individuals that do crazy stuff like that, but they're like, I'd rather do max damage, because if I don't get hit, I can have as low as health as I want if I use Red Tier Stone Ring, and it's just kind of like, it makes sense, honestly. If you have the capabilities of dodging and not worrying about getting hit, then by all means, pump all your stats into damage, etc., and that's what Sally's doing. She is perfectly capable of dodging and, attacking very quickly, and you can see that skill that she has, and we've seen from the first episode of the story that she is someone that is a professional gamer. She had trophies, etc. in the background for competitions that she's been in, so most likely she's been in some really high-profile esport games, and because of that, she probably has a good grasp on certain things that she needs to do and how to handle games quite like what, New World Online is. And one last thing I would like to add before I wrap up this video is that, the swashbuckler Sally is actually going to be the horse for Maple, which is kind of hilarious, honestly, because when you really think about the dynamic of Sally and Maple, Maple is a fortress. Obviously, because of her pumping her stats all in defense, she can't move very fast. That's been a fundamental flaw of her since the beginning, so if there's an opponent that technically knows her weakness, obviously, even if it might take a very long time, like an extremely long time, someone potentially could defeat Maple. But with Sally partying up with Maple, it's now very possible for Maple to have her full potential, because, like I said, she lacked mobility. And Sally being an agility-based character and she's carrying Maple around, basically, Sally's the legs of the fortress and the fortress is Maple, and there's just nothing you can do, because all Maple has to do is put her shield on you, and you're just straight up dead. Like, you die instantly. There's just nothing you can do. So if, Sally could just run around and just bash Maple into people, and they die instantly, that's like the easiest thing you can do. So just make a speedy character with a very tanky character that can one-shot people. There you go, you got complete meta. Honestly, it legit, what's going on with these two characters sounds like what you would see in a game when people know how to abuse and break a game. They put two very broken builds, or I guess very funny and troll builds together that becomes extremely broken. But, yeah, it's a good episode. This is a really good episode, kind of showcasing the new character Sally, but also Maple's broken build, and how people are starting to notice it. But that's pretty much my thoughts on the latest episode. I'm excited for more because this is a fantastic series, honestly. I didn't think I'd be enjoying Bofuri as much as I have been. I figured there would be other series that would stand out more, like Somali. Now, I like Somali, don't get me wrong, great series. But, I mean, I just think that I wouldn't have enjoyed this series as much as that. But clearly, it's surprising me at every turn. But maybe it's because I'm a little bit of a sucker for these type of stories. But I'm going to leave it at that. I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.